Good afternoon, Shukry. I want to introduce Shukry from the English Language Training Center. Shukry, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about in this summit, the Asia Summit on cloud and security. And earlier I spoke to some of the other speakers. We talked about security, we talked about concerns about moving to clouds, data centers and all that. But I think there's one area that I'd like to speak to you about today is on migration. No, there are a lot of consideration in migration, there are a lot of issues in migration, and there's a lot of fears in migration. How do I migrate data, especially with legacy systems? How do I move across? And I want to ask you your thoughts on that, Shukry.
Thank you. For migration to the cloud, for us at ELTC, our migration was quite simple, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Because
interesting.
We had legacy systems that weren't working so well. So what we did at ELTC is to actually close all the legacy systems and fully move on to the cloud. So that was a decision way back in 2013. And I actually talked through with my director what things were going to happen during that time. So at that time, we chose Microsoft over Google as a solution for this. And I thought it was a good decision because I actually did extensive research before migrating into the cloud.
Okay.
So the types of services we require were actually quite simple. So some of these like email and data warehousing, those sorts of simple things.
Right.
The legacy systems couldn't actually cope with our requirements. And that was the main reason why we actually shut down everything from there. So we actually started from scratch on the cloud, and it was initially, it was quite a challenge. I mean, at that time, even Microsoft was starting up new with something called Live at EDU. So for us, we went through with them what things that we required. And like today, some of the discussions on security, privacy, those sorts of consideration were paramount for us. So we said that if you're going to have a service level agreement, those things should be in.
Right.
So for us, those were the important considerations. So when we moved on to the cloud, Microsoft eventually developed into Office 365. So with us, those sorts of solutions have evolved to the point where right now we're at the cutting edge of whatever they offer.
Oh,
Actually, quite a number of services that even I was talking to some of the participants today that they've never heard of. So cloud solutions, I think, like big companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they have services that I think some of the users don't know about. And part of my job, which I think is a bit fun, to tell them that actually you have these services on your cloud that you don't know about. So, and then when they come back to me and say, oh, we didn't know that, now you should be using this. And especially in education. I mean, education is a space which is actually quite interesting because there's so many requirements that you need to follow.
Right.
Yeah. For example, like requirements of the teachers or the lecturers, students, how data should be housed, those sorts of considerations need to be completely into account.
From the organization perspective, from the entity perspective, I guess I get the sense that you were happy that you migrated, and I guess I get the sense that you were actually started from zero base because you shut down your legacy and you kind of moved out. But I'm sure that in the process of it, there must have been some challenges with, as far as organization is concerned, your organization. Could you just maybe list one or two main challenges that you find besides getting the approval from your bosses to move to cloud?
I think one of the biggest challenge was a change in paradigm, the thinking behind going to the cloud, because it was completely kind of brand new at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was one challenge, and I actually had to go around to each lecturer and say, we're moving to the cloud. These are your new emails, and these are the new services. So we actually have to do training, and we had to go around.
So how long was the transition period?
Actually, it took quite a long time.
Oh, really?
Even though we moved straight into the cloud, in terms of systems, it was very quick. 2 weeks.
So the movement, the time that took, was it the mindset or was it the operational aspects of things?
Good question. Operational-wise, 2 weeks, but mindset took 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because we're talking about educationists here, and students, that took the longest time.
So the change process was a bit longer, right?
Yeah.
The change management and all that came.
True.
Yeah, okay. So if you had a choice today and somebody came to you and said, I'd like you to advise me I'm going to migrate my organization, what would maybe one or two or three things that you would say to the person as an advice from your personal perspective?
The first thing I advise is to do your research. I mean, it depends on the context in which
So
you
do
are.
your research, okay? That's one, very
that's
good.
one. Number two, cost considerations.
Cost considerations, okay.
Because we're education, as an education institution, we are easier to move because it's actually free for us. But if you're a business, then definitely you have to consider, read the agreement very carefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
I do mean carefully.
Yes, you kind of emphasize that's why I think that has to be done.
That has to be done. And the third is the privacy and the security. I think you cannot consider that as an afterthought. I mean, it has to be part of what
The process. Okay, good. That's good advice. So with that, I wish you the best for today and enjoy your day. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shukry from the English Education Training Center.